If I do have a top list of favorite countries, Jamaica is definitely competing for that #1 spot. I have fallen in love with the people, the culture, the way the sun stings me when I'm there. The fact that they really remind me of Liberian people and I am Liberian. So basically, it feels like home. But home, as we know, is not always perfect. There are definitely pros and cons. So there has been a lot of talk about Jamaica. The US issued a travel advisory, but they honestly do that quite frequently, so it's not that crazy. But people have been talking online about the pros and cons of going to Jamaica, and I've gone twice. Jamaica Part 3. If you know me, I'll tell you I love Jamaica, but that does not mean that I think it's a perfect place. I just enjoy being there, but I definitely see like the pros and cons, and I hope my video can bring you more insight. My first time there was in 2021, so I went with three friends. I can't count, y'all. I said I went with 3 friends. I really should say I went with 2 friends and one friend brought her boyfriend. So it was 3 girls, all of us, and then 1 boy. And we stayed at Rio Palace. So that was my first and only resort experience in Jamaica. I'm not even a resort traveler, but I did like Rio Palace a lot. So we can start off just talking about Rio Palace because a lot of people are like, where do we stay when we go to Jamaica? I've stayed in a resort, an all-inclusive resort, and I've stayed in an Airbnb. I really enjoyed both experiences. Going forward, I'd probably continue staying in Airbnbs or similar type situations. I'm not a huge resort person. If I did stay in a resort, I'd probably stay like short term. So Rio Palace, compared to all the other like Rios in Montego Bay at the very least, there's Rio Montego Bay, there's Rio Reggae. The reason I liked Rio Palace is because staying in Palace, you have access to Montego Bay and Rio Reggae. So I liked just having options. Like I like being able to decide what I want to do for the day. And I honestly thought Rio Palace had better food than Rio Montego Bay. We never ate at Rio Reggae, so I can't really speak. But one time we had lunch at Rio Montego Bay after chilling in their pool and their water park, and I was like, this is not good. But I know at Rio Palace, Bookie, I was eating good. We honestly only really ate like lunch. We probably had breakfast like once in a while, but we were mainly only eating lunch. I don't know what it was, but like we were just doing a lot. So we weren't eating that much. Watermelon's cool, but she's not my preferred fruit. Like if I'm eating watermelon, I need to eat it with other stuff. Cause I just don't think she's like that girl. I know a lot of people think she's that girl though. Palace is also a good in-between of the resorts because Rio Reggae is known as the party resort. It's known as the young people resort. Young people go there to turn up. It's loud. They constantly have stuff going on. So we went one night and we saw a show. It was cool. And Rio Montego Bay is known, at least the time that I went, because I went in 2021. That's also something I want to preface. My experience is literally just related to 2021, at least as far as the all-inclusive resort Rio goes. So Rio Montego Bay was known as like more of a couples resort. It's definitely prettier, I feel like, than the 2 as well. But I thought Palace was pretty cute. A lot of people say Palace. If you go on TikTok now and you see like reviews on Palace, people be saying Palace is kind of dusty. When we went though, I guess also because it was 2021 and it was like still a little bit newer, and then it was also like the severity of COVID was still very present, but it wasn't like March 2020. So I don't know, things were just a bit different. One thing you will hear people talking about often, and this is honestly going to be a large part of the cons, you'll hear people talking about the men of Jamaica. And while I'm still on the topic of Rio, that it's not like the male employees are not exempt because they're still very bold, even though they're literally on the clock. Y'all really don't care to lose your jobs. But honestly, I don't think they'll lose their jobs for it. I just think it's such a normalized part of the culture that what's like a little bit off-putting to us is just them being normal. Throughout the trip, we were in the resort a few days, and when we went off the resort, we went to Margaritaville, which is super popular, very touristy. Even just the hip strip in general is super popular and touristy. So we went to Margaritaville just to eat. We were on the hip strip for a bit, and then we also went to, one day we had an entire day trip to Negril, and we were on like it's called the 7 Mile Beach, I think, and then we were on a catamaran. We had a really fun time, and that's something that I do recommend to people when they go to Jamaica. Like, please do that excursion, it's so fun. But when we came back, or I should actually rewind a bit, because the day before we went to Margaritaville, so we were on the hip strip, and the taxi who took us worked for the hotel. He worked for the all-inclusive. And I'm just the type of person, I will talk to literally anybody. Like, I'll start a conversation, especially if I'm in the mood to just be annoying and just chat and just yap. Like, I will literally just go off. So I think like me and just my friends were in the car just like coming back to my destination, and we were talking, we were chatting, and I was just bringing up different conversations. So I don't know if he took that as me like being interested in him or what, but he then proceeded to like be texting me on WhatsApp and calling me and telling me how he wants to take me on a date. Sir, you could be my father, 1. And 2, you were just supposed to be our driver to and from our destination. Like, calm down. I talk to everybody like this. Don't feel special. Don't feel special. I hear situations that are worse than mine where someone, even just recently, a woman made a video on TikTok about how she was essayed on an excursion she was doing right in front of her hotel. And I honestly, based off what she showed, I'm like, why does this person look familiar? But I really don't know for sure. But I just know situations than what I've experienced have been more drastic than mine. So I'm happy I haven't experienced anything too graphic or traumatic, but I understand where people are coming from, and I will always support those people because I see it firsthand how if you don't really like keep them and yourself in check, things can really progress. I went most recently in August. It was the end of August to the beginning of September 2023. Once again, had a blast, love Jamaica, but where do I even start with this one? I'm gonna put it in her back. Me and my friend went, it was her first time there, it was my second time there. I was excited to show her the place that I love so much. I warned her, I said, these men are rabid, they don't know how to act. She said, on her very first days, she was like, I don't know, like they're just like the ones that we have at home. And I was like, okay, sure. By the end of the trip, she was agreeing with me. She was like, I don't know what's wrong with them. So, it's actually not funny. It's actually a little bit off-putting, but. So, wait, why is the Lulo this color? I hope y'all can see this. I don't know if I should be eating that. I need to do more research on this fruit. We decided to stay in an Airbnb in the Freeport area of Jamaica. I have an entire TikTok video on this Airbnb, so don't ask me for details, simply go to the description. Go to the YouTube description, I have it linked here, support my video. Actually, I just realized TikTok cut my audio, but it's okay because I have captions. Literally support me in any way possible. Maybe I'll upload a YouTube short because I don't know why TikTok wanna just be chopping people's audio. But we stayed in this Airbnb in the Freeport area of Montego Bay, and we enjoyed this Airbnb. The Freeport area is known as like a wealthier area of Montego Bay, so it is an Airbnb that I would recommend. I was not in love with it. I'm rarely in love with an accommodation. Like, I'm a very hard person to please when it comes to accommodations. I'm very, very picky. So that's not that's something that if I say like I don't love it, you should take with a grain of salt, because when it comes to like hotels, Airbnbs, anything like that, I'm a harsh critic. But I did like it. I would probably go there again. I would probably negotiate the price. It is a little bit more pricier, but we still had a pretty good deal. And our host does have a driver, but we literally did not use the driver more than the first day because we realized he was, I don't want to say scamming, but just taxing. Like, the prices were just way more than we were willing to pay. So we kept talking to more and more locals. We were Googling, and eventually we found an alternative to Uber because Uber in Montego Bay was like so hard to use. I will say though, on my most recent visit, Uber was more available in Montego Bay, so just a heads up. We found an alternative called InDrive, and we just used InDrive our entire trip for transportation. So our rides were like no more than like a few dollars, and I'm talking like USD. We would pay in JMD, in Jamaican dollars, but when we converted it, it was no more than a few dollars per ride. And InDrive basically, like, the interface works a similar way to Uber. Like, you have your location in, so they know where to go, and then you tell them where your destination is. The only difference is that you are basically negotiating with them. So it gives you a price they recommend you to pay, and you can pay that price, or you can try to pay a lower price, and sometimes they can even try to get a higher price. But you're paying in cash. I also have a video on this. I'll just put all of my videos in the description, because why would you not get further information and support me on other platforms? As for where we ate, I also have a video on that. But right next to the Airbnb, less than 5-minute walk down from the Airbnb, is a restaurant called Marina Palms. So we had some pretty good meals there. We literally ended up getting to know the entire staff, and that's the whole situation. That's a whole situation in itself. But overall, really love them, really love that establishment. Recommend you go there. In less than probably about a 5-minute drive, is the Houseboat Grill. That one was not as good. But we only really had appetizers there and one drink, but we can just tell like it's not that great. I actually have a video ranking what I thought was the best meal, and the best one was snappers. So if you get to live snappers, please do. But someone had asked me when I made, this car is hella loud in the background. Someone had asked me when I made my video on like just staying in the Airbnb and just trying out different restaurants. Or I guess before I even put out the restaurant video, I made a video just like sharing that I had stayed in the Airbnb, and someone had commented like, so then what did you do about food? And I don't know why I thought that comment was so, I thought it was a little bit of a strange comment, because you don't need to stay in an all-inclusive resort to eat. Like, I'm a foodie. I enjoy trying different restaurants. So that's what probed me to then make the video ranking different foods that I had ate. There's also a delivery app called, damn, I forget what this delivery app is called, but I'm just gonna screenshot it right here. So you can use that delivery app and order food on it, and it'll come right to you, similar to like a DoorDash or a Grubhub, Uber Eats, etc. But it's a functional society. Like, I'm not sure why people were acting like you're not gonna be able to get what you want while there. This is my fruit salad, y'all. Can y'all see it? It's okay, because I'm about to sit down. You're gonna see my fruit salad. In terms of activities we did the usual. So we went to 2727 for a club. We went to Pier 1 for the club. We did go to Margaritaville at one point, but not for the club portion, just to like, we were just there for the day. We went to Doctor's Cove for the beach. We actually had so many good encounters with people. So we encountered someone who actually owns or plays a major role in the, maybe I won't say what, but in something popular there. And we met him, and we just really trust our discretion. So we stopped at the market in Jamaica. I really like this because it's similar to like when you're in West African countries and you're going to like to the market. You can like drive through or walk through whatever and pick up like your little fruits. You just tell them what. I don't know, I just like the experience a lot. It wasn't like you were going to a store and buying your fruit or your items. Friend and I also only did one excursion. We're not really excursion people, we're not super touristy people, and we're not resort people. But we ended up having, I believe, an driver who was telling us of his past of being a tour company driver. He didn't show us much proof. He eventually did, but he didn't show us much proof at first. But we were like, oh, like this is an opportunity to support your small business. Because he was trying to start his independent business, and we were like, we're not paying those crazy tour prices. Once again, using discretion, we were like, we trust you. So we had him drive us to the Blue Hole in Ocho Rios. We wanted to also go to that amusement park. I think it's called Blue Mountain or something like that.
And then I won't take too much more of your time, but most recently in Jamaica, we got to visit another parish, which is Portland. We were in the Port Antonio / Snow Hill area, even in Hope Bay for a little bit. We got to connect with a really popular vlogger out there. We connected with a bunch of locals who own businesses, so a hairstylist and a tour operator and an Airbnb owner as well. We just expanded. I just love expanding our network out there, and then also... Girl, don't mind me, but I like expanding our network out there and just feeling like that's low-key my home. Like, that's how I feel. We were also in Montego Bay for a little bit and did the usual. I don't know if I'm necessarily gonna be vlogging this third trip, but I have a bunch of posts on my social media.
Overall, it's a super popular destination. I know that I personally do love it. I've seen pros, I've seen cons, as you will see with many places. But I think it's not as common to see with a place that's so popular for tourism, because because people genuinely are like, can I go here and feel safe? I understand when people don't feel safe. I do. In terms of the violence that people speak about all the time, like gun violence, crime, killing, I have not personally seen it, but as a tourist, you're probably not gonna see or experience it as much as the locals will. One time we were walking in town with the Airbnb's cleaning lady and we saw an argument pop off, but that was it. We didn't really see pew pew or chop chop. We didn't see none of that. Personally, I know that I will be going back again, probably over and over. I like it. I think you should go with discernment. I don't think you should scare yourself to death. I think you should be aware that things can happen in an all-inclusive resort, in a B&B, in a touristy area, in a non-touristy area. And really, if you personally do not feel comfortable doing something, do not do it. Do I think the travel advisory should be paid attention to? I don't know much about the travel advisory at all. I don't pay attention to them. I don't look at the travel advisory. I feel like they have advisories. I feel like the U.S. has advisories about literally every place that's not the U.S. So I don't really pay too much attention to it. Listen to the locals with a grain of salt. I feel like sometimes the locals, just anywhere, they do know their country or their city or whatever. But a lot of people don't really take themselves out of the box that they're in, so I don't care too much for other people's opinions. I'll listen to hear what you have to say, but I don't use it to shape the way I'm gonna live, because are you even experiencing life, or are you just in your house all day listening to the media, no matter where you are? But with that being said, I want to tell you guys about more trips that I've taken. Solo travel, a whole video on solo travel maybe, budget travel, hostels. I want to tell you guys about so much, so stay tuned. And so she bought me a bunch of Colombian snacks, so I don't know what's gonna make it through CSA, but look, y'all, I'll do a YouTube video.